Orion Pax first appeared in the original Generation 1 of the Transformers Season 2, Episode 43, War Dawn, when five Autobots called the Aerial Bots who were from the future around 9 million years in the past. They met a young dog worker by the name of Orion Pax who managed an Energon shipping dockyard and introduced them to his girlfriend Ariel and best friend Dion. Now, Orion was a chill, easygoing bot who admired the new flying robots, the Decepticons, that was flying over them. Silverbolt warning Orion, just because they have an unusual ability doesn't mean there's someone to know. Ion being skeptical of this. Then came Megatron, along with his ship containing his men, which Orion was unaware of, and being awestruck by Megatron, asking who he was and what the place is, and gave him a tour of the place. Till Megatron learned what the true purpose of the shipyard was, he ordered his army to raid the warehouse for Energon, and when Orion tried to stop him, Megatron shot him. When Ariel, witnessing this, tried to stop him, Megatron fatally wounded her. When Orion, witnessing this, he tried fighting back and Megatron shot him too, and this time fatally. By the time the Airbots arrived, Orion was near his death, and took him with them to save him. They came across an old sage who went by the name of Alpha Trion, who then rebuilt Orion into a powerful warrior, Optimus Prime.
How much longer are we gonna have to wait?
Just cool out. He'll tell us when he's done.
Well, it's finished. You may not recognize him. He is no longer Orion Pax. Now he is the first of our new defenders, Optimus Prime.
I was wrong, my friends. I admired Megatron merely because he was powerful. I failed to see how he used that power.
Orion in this universe is called Optronics rather than Orion Pax, and this is one of the earliest examples of Orion being a data archivist working at the Hall of Records. He seems on the surface rather cold, distant, and an unassuming archivist who served at the Hall of Records, who only seemed interested in variables and statistics and seemed indifferent to the war and the suffering it brought, and seemed to view bots as a statistic. He was chosen by the Council of Ancients to replace Sentinel Prime, who was killed in battle by Megatron, and after receiving the Matrix of Leadership, proved any doubters wrong by killing the assassin sent after him. He then made the controversial and unpopular choice of leaving Cybertron, giving it away to the Decepticons. Thought this to be a losing fight, as it would lead the plan to ruin. It was until he traveled to the core of Cybertron, seeing the visions of the future, did Optimus decide to stay on Cybertron and fight. Optimus in the Marvel G1 continuity was a gladiator who fought for Iacon in the intercity gladiatorial games held between cities. He was a champion of the games who shared a sporting rivalry with a young gladiator from Tarn by the name of Megatron. During a match in Tarn, Optimus intervenes to stop Megatron killing his opponent Sunstreaker, but sabotage plunged Tarn and Woz into an intercity war that night. An Autobot overload was damaged while trying to sort out, so Optimus Prime left to get help. However, the Overlord mysteriously perished while under the care of Megatron and Overlord's bodyguard Ravage. Following the destruction of Tarn and Woz, Prime had planned to become a medical officer, but enrolled in the Autobot army as soon as the Decepticons declared war. He was immediately put in charge of the elite flying corps. Optimus proved himself a skilled leader, rising to the rank, finally being made general of the Autobot army as Decepticons besieged Iacon. The Council of Elders prepared to surrender. Councilor Xaron suggested that High Councilor Tracon step down and allow a military officer to assume Autobot leadership. Tracon then used his powers of veto and elected himself out of office, allowing Optimus Prime to assume supreme command of the Autobots, becoming the first soldier to ever hold the mantle of Autobot leadership. Optimus in the animated continuity was a washout from the Cybertronian elite guard, who was a top prospect eyed by Ultra Magnus himself to replace him one day. He was given the name Optimus due to his optimistic nature at the Autobot Academy by Cub Miner. He held up quite well against the simulation of Megatron, although Optimus died in the battle, causing his boisterous pal Sentinel to make a crack at his expense. Magnus pointed out that Optimus had just scored higher on the test than anyone in Academy history, and let Optimus know he had great hopes for him, but he was reassigned as a captain of a space bridge repair crew after an unsanctioned mission at a planet infested with giant spiders went wrong. Optimus took the blame for the mission's failure and the death of his crewmate, Elida, which Sentinel never forgave him for, and was kicked out of the Academy. But Ultra Magnus, feeling pity for him, gave him the rank of Prime. After routine space bridge maintenance, the crew came across the Allspark. During transport, a Decepticon warship detected and Megatron came after them for the Allspark, where in the ensuing tussle the ship crashed into the Atlantic Ocean where it remained for 50 years till reawakening. Orion Pax was a data clerk in the Icon Hall of Records, who served under the chief librarian Alpha Trion. As he learned more of Cybertron's past, he became aware of the corruption in high places and the growing social inequality among the masses. Orion soon became inspired by the words and ideals of a miner turned gladiator by the name of Megatronus, whose fight against Cybertron's caste system deeply inspired Orion to contact and soon formed a bond of brotherhood, having philosophical debates with each other. But this all came to an end when both were brought to the High Council to choose who would be the Prime, with Megatron exposing himself as a cruel despot, wanting to overthrow the old guard with force and demanding to be named Prime. But as Orion spoke, the hearts and minds of the council were moved by such compassion as there was none as worthy as him, not since the Golden Age, Orion being chosen as the Prime. This made Megatron bitter and angry, cutting all ties with the Council and Orion, and waging a bloody civil war with his army, the Decepticons. As the war raged on and damaging the planet's core, Orion traveled to the core, where the alien Primus bestowed upon him the matrix of leadership, transforming him into Optimus Prime. Once a mere file clerk, Optimus was drawn to the charismatic Megatron's campaign for change, becoming one of his closest allies. During a meeting at Macadam's old oil house, Optimus assured Megatron he would alter the speech Megatron was to give at their upcoming rally. At the rally, Optimus stood amongst Megatron's closest allies as he unveiled the Decepticon movement. Though the rally was a success, Megatron's growing power began to reveal darker shades of his personality and ambition. Megatron eventually staged an attack on the High Council, killing all of the councilors save Alpha Trion, who had Bumblebee bring Optimus to him. Though Optimus blamed himself for the war, Trion reassured his protege that he had done what he felt was right and stayed true to himself. Before he passed over, however, Trion bestowed the Matrix of Leadership onto Optimus, who accepted the talisman and became Optimus Prime. Optimus made one last effort to peacefully negotiate with his old friend, asking him to end his hostilities and allow them to diplomatically resolve their issues, with neither Megatron or Optimus willing to bend to the other. Megatron declared open war on his once friend and his faction. Optimus Prime was the last surviving descendant of the dynasty of Primes, orphaned and hidden away to protect him from the evil of the fallen. Optimus grew up with no knowledge of who he was and was eventually found by Sentinel Prime, who claimed to be descended from Primus himself. During Sentinel's tribe of Autobots, Optimus worked with his teacher and other pupils, Megatron and Elita 1, to restore order to it by helping to locate the Allspark, buried far beneath Cybertron's surface. Re-energized by a star harnessed by the science of Wheeljack, the Allspark restored life and energy to Cybertron, unifying the planet once more, but the old and weary Sentinel Prime had no desire to lead this new, united populace. At last, he revealed to Optimus the secret of his heritage, and that he, as Optimus Prime, ought to succeed him as leader. Unable to believe that he was a Prime, Optimus turned the role down, proposing instead that he investigate Optimus' history in an attempt to bring some of the good the Primes created back to the world. Accordingly, Sentinel withdrew his plans for Cybertron, having Optimus lead the Archaeological Science Division while placing Megatron in charge of Cybertron's defense force. Alas, neither Optimus realized that Megatron had eavesdropped on their conversation. Megatron was consumed with anger and jealousy at the knowledge that he was Sentinel's second choice, and further lost all respect for Prime because he had turned down an incredible birthright. Nevertheless, the pair were able to govern Cybertron together for 2 generations, their two personalities creating a balance. Prime was fair, while Megatron was firm. When malcontent activity opposing Sentinel's order began escalating, however, Megatron intimidated Optimus into giving him his supreme power in defense of the planet. When Lord High Protector Megatron dured a science division excavation near the Allspark Temple at Simfer, he and Optimus clashed over several issues. All Megatron cared about was whether the site contained power similar to the Allspark, while Optimus insisted on taking things slowly with the reminder that it was his division in charge of the proceedings. Subsequently, after the dig uncovered a mysterious relic, Optimus and Megatron's argument over what should be done with it was interrupted by an attack from aliens from the neighboring Eshems Nebula. Megatron ordered that the relic be taken to his personal quarters for protection during the battle, and Optimus can argue. After the aliens were repelled, Optimus ordered his science teams to help the survivors of the attack, while he went to confer with Megatron, but only to come nearly to blows with the High Protector when he demanded that Optimus marshal the science division for war against the aliens. Feared that Megatron sought to divide Cybertron, Optimus called a meeting of the science division and appealed to all those who served under him to not join Megatron on his crusade, asking them to stay by his side and continue on with their mission of peaceful research. With help from the Prowl and Jazz, Optimus broke into Megatron's quarters in search of some clue to his arm's sudden compulsion towards war, but only had time to observe that the enigmatic relic had somehow been restored to pristine condition before he was forced to leave to avoid detection. Returning to Science Division headquarters, Optimus was greeted with a stunning discovery. Ratchet, Elita 1, and RC had uncovered other ancient artifacts, each of which bore a symbol that matched one on Optimus's helmet, a symbol that proved Optimus was indeed a descendant dynasty of Primes. Prime went with RC and Ratchet to the excavation site, where they discussed the ramifications of this new information, only for the group to be apprehended for treason by an unwilling Prowl, forced to do so by the orders of Megatron. This turned out to be a trap. However, while they were being escorted to the city of Metro Titan, Megatron's forces ambushed them with the intent to kill. Optimus bested Starscream on top of the attackers, then raced back to the embattled excavation site to usher Elita 1, Sentinel Prime, and Mulezak to safety with a little help from Elita's sister, Chromia. Optimus and Sentinel of a make marking on his head that proved his. Now he was Optimus Prime. All those loyal to Optimus regrouped at Bertho, where Optimus was recognized as the leader of the group, with Prowl serving as his lieutenant. Captain Ironhide, a former member of Megatron's defense force, who had now christened themselves the Decepticons, informed Optimus of the huge starship Nemesis that Megatron was building, and the newly christened Prime began working toward equipping his own site with similar vessels. Though the Autobots found themselves at an advantage when the Nemesis left Cybertron with the balance of Decepticon forces, it was then that true war finally broke out between Optimus and Megatron's forces. Despite lacking a transformation cog, the Energon miner Orion Pax was an incredibly bold bot who dreamed of proving his and other cogless transformers' worth, often getting into trouble for failing to obey rules or follow protocol. Orion befriended the unambitious D16, who idolized Megatronus, and spent most of his time pulling Orion out of one jab or another. Once Orion became convinced that he could transform without a transformation cog, and D16 had to spend 3 days getting his friend back into shape. On several occasions, Orion broke into the city's archives, searching for information about the missing matrix of leadership. After the latest such illicit adventure, D16 helped him escape from the archive guards, and Orion gifted his best friend with a pristine sticker of Megatronus Prime during a mining expedition. Orion broke protocol with D16 to rescue Jazz after a vein of unstable energon caused the mine to collapse. In response to his breaking of protocol, his captain Elita 1 was fired and demoted by Darkwing. Angered by this injustice, Orion reminded Darkwing that while he lacked a transformation cog, his finger could still transform into a Regester, causing Darkwing to almost deck Orion until D16 intervened by punching Orion and trying to apologize on his behalf for being knocked down himself. Following the mining incident, Sentinel Prime announced his return from the surface, informing the city that he had failed to find the Matrix, but that the work would be stopped so that everyone could watch the Iacon 5000 race the following day. Seeing an opportunity to show everyone their potential, Orion tricked D16 into entering alongside him, coming close to victory until D16 was injured on the final stretch. While trying to convince an upset D16 that participating in the race was a mistake, the pair were visited by Sentinel Prime, who praised them for inspiring the other miners to work harder and granted them access to his personal repair bay. However, before they could be escorted, Darkwing, angry at the pair for nearly beating him in the race, took them down to waste management at sub-level 50, where the two met B127. While B-127 was introducing the pair to his artificial friends, Orion discovered that one of the sculptures contained a transmitter from Alpha Trion and a map of a possible location of the Matrix. After convincing D-16 and B-127 to accompany him on the search, the three snuck their way up the garbage chute to take a train to the surface, where they ran into Elita-1. Still royally steamed at Orion for getting her fired, Elita attempted to stop the departing train, knocked off the train by Cybertron's shifting geology, and left stranded on the surface. The group convinced Elita to join their party in search of the Matrix. The map eventually led them to an ancient cave where the Primes had fallen in battle against the Quintessence. The Matrix was not in the cave, but Orion discovered that Alpha Trion's spark still flickered, and the group reactivated him with an Energon cube. Trion revealed a dark truth, that Sentinel was an imposter, a false Prime, who had betrayed the Primes and made a deal with the Quintessence, where he would be allowed to rule Cybertron in return for paying them Energon, and as a result stole the cogs from new Transformers so they could mine it. Though a hard pill to swallow, Orion remained hopeful and announced his plan to reveal the truth to Archon. D-16, on the other hand, expressed his desire to kill Sentinel for what he had done, honoring Orion, B-127, and Elita-1. Trion granted Orion and his allies the cogs of the dead primes, and they escaped as Trion held off the approaching Death Trackers. On their journey back to Archon, the party was captured by the former Cybertron High Guard, who mistook them for Sentinel Prime spies. After watching D-16 beat down Starscream and take control of the guard, they were attacked by Sentinel's legion of Death Trackers and its enforcer Arachnid. D-16, B-127, and many members of the guard were captured, leaving Orion feeling hopeless. Elita, far from Orion's biggest fan, inspired him to keep going, reminding him that his greatest strength was his endless hope. Inspired, Orion rallied the remaining members of the guard and organized a plan to free the others. While Elita smuggled them into Icon, Orion made his first of many inspirational speeches to the Cogos miners and convinced them to rise up against Sentinel after revealing the truth that their cogs were stolen. During the battle for Iacon, Orion helped free D-16 and the rest of the guard. While D-16 attacked Sentinel directly, Orion, B-127, and Elita instead focused on revealing Sentinel's treachery to the entire city via Arachnid's memories. After broadcasting them throughout the entire city, D-16, despite the truth being out, was still set on killing the false prime. Orion pleaded with him, trying to make his friend see that his path of vengeance was not the way to build a future. Shoving Orion aside, D-16 aimed his fusion cannon at Sentinel, only for a shot to hit Orion as he jumped in the way, blowing a hole through his chest and knocking him over a cliff. A horrified D-16 managed to catch Orion by the wrist, dangling over the edge. Mortally wounded, Orion begged his friend to not let go, only for D-16 to bitterly tell him he was done saving him and let him fall. Primus took note of Orion's selfless sacrifice. As Orion plummeted into the depths, the structure of Cybertron opened up around him so that he fell into the planet's very core. There, the spirits of the Primes appeared around Orion, including Alpha Trion, who announced that became custodian of Cybertron's future. The Matrix materialized and settled into Orion's chest cavity, transforming him into Optimus Prime. Hurled back to the surface, Optimus landed before D-16, now Megatron, and fought to stop him from destroying any more of the city, ultimately forced him to surrender by destroying his fusion cannon with an Energon axe. But saddened by the path of destruction his old friend had chosen, Optimus banished Megatron and his followers from Iacon. Knowing he could not lead the planet alone, Optimus asked Elita and B-127 to work with him, an offer that was rarely accepted by both bots. Hauling the Matrix high, Energon began flowing in abundance once again, and the miners were granted cogs, becoming fully autonomous Autobots. Optimus vowed that the Autobots would defend Cybertron from the Quintessence and any future enemies.
No, 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 no. Why? Why did you do that? Why? No. I'm done saving you. Has ended. No more false prophets. Follow me, and you will never again be deceived. Rise
Orion Pax, your noble sacrifice for the greater good has proven you worthy in the eyes of Primus. He entrusts in you the future of Cybertron and the matrix of leadership. I will lead us all into the future. Megatron! Arise! Optimus Prime. Burn it down! All of it! All hail Megatron!
He's gonna kill everyone.
We have to stop him. Come on. No! It's over.
It's over when every last one of his followers is dead! Oh, yeah!